Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is June 19th, 2023. It is 6:30 in the morning, and it is a beautiful day to be alive. I am on day 31 with no caffeine, proving to myself, at the very least, that caffeine does not give you energy. It only stimulates the energy that is already inside you. So, you want to come off caffeine? You want to stop being addicted to that Colombian bean? What do you got to do? Because caffeine is giving you the stimulation that you need to get that energy to the surface. You have got to find some substitute stimulation. Very easy, very simple. All you've got to do is stimulate yourself. Now, I know what you're thinking, and yes, that works, but don't go too far. That's not the only way to stimulate yourself. You can certainly stimulate yourself by getting up, getting moving your body, drink some water, take a shower, blah, blah, blah. Is it the same thing as caffeine? No, caffeine does all the work for you. You have to do the work for yourself. However, once you start doing it, you'll find that it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. But yes, it's 6:30. Now it's 6:32 in the morning. It's a beautiful day to be alive. I'm on my way to work. And to paraphrase Pablo Neruda, the church says your body's a sin. The marketplace says your body is a battery. Science says your body is a machine. And your body says, I am a fiesta. So, I feel good to be alive. If you take the time to really feel it, and it takes a certain level of sensitivity, but if you take the time to really feel it, you can feel the oxygen going into your cells. Take a deep breath with me. And feel what it feels like when the oxygen goes into your cells. Pull that oxygen in. Woo! Oh, and the muscles relax, and at the same time, the energy level goes up. Man, oxygen going into your cells is incredibly sensual feeling, man. Like, it's just, if you get into your body and you acknowledge all the pain, and it's like, oh, at first, I'm not gonna lie to you, when you first get into your body, you're gonna be like, oh, this hurts, probably. If you're over 20, if you're over 26, you're probably gonna be like, oh, there's pain in here, right? Which you've been, if you're like most people, you've been avoiding the pain, and you haven't been paying attention to it, and so, you know, so the pain comes as a bit of a shock. The pain comes as a bit of a shock. You're like, ooh, this hurts, this hurts, this is stiff, that's sore, this is painful. But you get in, you move it, you get the blood flowing, you get the oxygen coming in. There's a bird in the road. Get out of the way, bird! Good, he got out of the way. I was afraid I was going to kill him. It's roadkill season up in North Florida, and the carrion birds are happy, but they're also taking their lives in their hands early in the morning trying to get breakfast. But, you know, that's life. You gotta eat to live. You gotta risk your life to eat, apparently. This is nature. We've built all these systems to keep us from having to risk our lives in order to get breakfast. But from every solution, problems arise. I think this is part of the moral of the story of the Hydra, right? You cut off a head, 3 heads take its place. Eventually, you have to cut out its heart. This seems to me to be a fairly obvious to me, anyways, analogy for, you know, symptom reduction. You make the symptom go away. This is the head of the Hydra. So, So you cut out the heart of the Hydra, right? You get to the root of the problem, and then that problem is gone. But are all the problems gone? No. Is there any final solution? No, Hitler, there's no final solution. There are only solutions that are good enough for now. And so because we're in bodies, and our bodies are like that Snake video game, man. They don't necessarily keep getting longer every time you eat a pellet. That's not what I mean. But like you do, you got to keep moving, you got to keep eating, you got to keep feeding the thing. And, you know, you eat, you digest, you poop. This is the main thing that you're doing. People want to know what the meaning of life is. You eat, you digest, you poop. That's what it's all about, man. Is that not good enough for you? Do you need something more? Is it not pleasurable to eat, to digest, and to poop? And if it's not, you're doing something wrong. Because the food should be enjoyable. I don't know if I've ever really enjoyed the digestion process itself. I guess I do a little bit. I do, not in such a not in the same way that I enjoy food, where it's like a sensory pleasure, but certainly that feeling of being full is a good feeling. And you know, even hunger can be a good feeling. I've lost a bunch of weight. I was like 240. I'm down to 210, which is fantastic. I'd like to get down to 200, see how that looks. Maybe I'll go further, who knows. I was 180 when I was in the best shape of my life, but I might just be bigger than that now. Like, it might not be reasonable to think that I'm going to be back down to 180 because I've got more, I may have more muscle than I had at that point, so I'm not really sure. But from here, the move to 200 sounds like a great idea, and then we'll see about it. Anyways, that's not important. You don't need to know the numbers. What was I talking about? Oh, right, hunger. So, the only thing that I really did, I mean, I got off the booze, but I have a hard time saying that's what did it, even though it may have been. But I wasn't drinking beer. I was drinking mostly liquor, which is not as high in calories. It's the cheapest way, calorie-wise, to drink is to drink liquor, obviously. Wine and beer and mixed drinks all have more calories in it, but alcohol gets processed to sugar, period. So even liquor has some calories in it. So if you're drinking liquor, you know, I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm sure that coming off the booze helped. I do not believe that coming off the caffeine helped. And both of those things made me want to snack more. So there's that. So what I had to do in order to what I had to do in order to deal with the fact that I wanted reward, right? I wanted a treat. I wanted something that felt good. And so snacks, right? Everybody that quits anything, snacks. And so what I have to do, I don't really make rules for myself because I just can't. It's the same thing, like some people can push their clock 2 minutes forward. I'm not good at lying to myself. I know the clock's been pushed forward. I'm not going to believe that clock. I'm the one that told the clock to be 2 minutes fast. I'm going to look at a clock, and if it says 6:41, I'm like, oh, it's 6:39. It doesn't work for me. I know what fucking time it is. I might be able to push it like 30 seconds fast and then forget. But that's not, regardless, for the same reason, I can't make a rule for myself. Well, like, oh, you can't wake up in the morning and drink alcohol. Well, yes, I fucking can. Okay? So I don't make rules for myself. I make strategies. And the strategy seems to me to be much better because it's like, okay, we're all in this together because all of the we is me. And so, like, if you build a rule for yourself, it's like, no day drinking. It's against the rules. Well, whose rules? The same guy that wants to day drink? well, you got to split yourself into like the manager and the employee, or like master and slave, rider and elephant, or whatever, which is a good strategy. It is a good strategy, and especially a good strategy for conceptualizing what has happened. Okay, so if you've made rules for yourself and you've not followed the rules, then you're like, oh, well, you know, I can conceptualize my mind as a rider and an elephant, and the rider thinks that these things are a good idea, but the elephant said, fuck you, and like, what are you gonna do? Like, you can certainly train an elephant and you can learn how to ride it, but if the elephant just decides it's not doing what you tell it, you're fucked. You're not gonna overpower the elephant. You train the elephant, you can convince the elephant, you can cajole the elephant, you know, keep the elephant happy, and it will do what you want, but you can't. So it's a good idea to think of your mind as an elephant, as a rider, but I feel like if it's possible to move past it and to bring the elephant and the rider together into one being, then that's what I want to do. And so it just doesn't make any sense for me to make rules. And I guess it wouldn't make any sense to make rules for the elephant either, because you're not going to just tell the elephant, no, elephant, don't do that. I mean, and what? And the elephant says, oh, okay, I'll just follow your rules then. No, you've got to train this thing. So instead of rules, I make strategies. This way we can all be on the same team. And like, this is what we want. And then I look back at my weekend and I'm like, did I get everything that I wanted? Because I am a firm believer that I am Ben Gross and I can have whatever I want. And so if I didn't get what I want, then it's like, all right, well, why not? And it's because I wanted some things and I wanted some other things, and I prioritized some of those things more than others. And like, looking back on it, I'm like, okay, so I got all of the snacks that I wanted and then some. Runaway snack machine. And I watched all of the television that I wanted. I'm certainly not looking back and regretting not spending more time watching television, but maybe I didn't work out as much as I want. Whatever. So at that point, it's time to make strategies and to figure out, you know, what it is that's causing the disconnect. Why? Where are the weaknesses in my strategy? Where can my strategy be made stronger? You know, what is it that I'm wanting that I'm not getting? And, you know, like for me, this weekend I worked out once, and it was fantastic, man. I did strength training, which all I do 3 sets. I do the whole thing 3 times. And I do planks, and then I do hammer curls, and then I do push-ups, and then I do just body weight squats. And then I do that 3 times, and then on the 3rd go through, so I don't know how many I'm up to with what, so like say I'm doing 20 push-ups, which is not the exact number, but it's close. You do 20 push-ups, you go through the thing, you come back, you do 20 push-ups, you go through the thing, you come back. Now this is the last time you're doing push-ups, so you do 20, and then you do as many as you can without taking a break, and then I try to do 5 more. So like with breaks, as minimal breaks as possible, but like I do 5 more on top of it. And if I do manage to do more than 20, well then I take whatever the extra is and I divide it evenly, and then I erase it on my marker board and I put down, you know, okay, so next week we're doing 22 push-ups per set. And it's nice and easy, because my fundamental goal for working out is that I want to be able to walk 6 miles and climb a tree when I'm 94 years old. So I don't need to do 100 push-ups today to make that happen. I just need to get up and do something. We're working the long game here. I don't, like Don Juan said that if he lost his legs, he'd kill himself, and I don't think that that's the way to go necessarily, but I get it, right? Like, so I don't want to be without my abilities. And I do agree with the Buddha, or at least with the people who have told me what Buddha thinks, enough when it comes to old age, sickness, and death, that this happens to everybody. But I'm more convinced that death happens to everybody. Old age and sickness, I feel like, I mean, have I ever been sick? I thought so at one point. Now I think maybe I haven't ever been sick. Maybe I've just had healthy immune responses to viruses. And what does that look like? Well, the virus comes in, you have an absolutely healthy immune response where your temperature goes up, you throw up all the food in your stomach, maybe, you start producing extra mucus. And you can call that sickness if you want. For me, I'm going to call it an absolutely natural and healthy immune response to a foreign fucking RNA in my system. So am I splitting hairs? Yes. But I believe that words are powerful, and so here we are. And then as far as old age is concerned, a lot of it is bullshit. Like, yes, time is going to pass, and as time passes, the sun's going to beat you, the wind's going to beat you, like, whatever, and eventually you're going to die. But in the meantime, like, do you need to stop having fun? Do you need to, like, decide that, oh, well, my joints are creaky, and so that means that I don't move around as much as I used to? No, you don't. You don't have to get old the way that people get old, okay? So there are people, and if you want to find them, you can find them. They're not the majority, but there are people that are snowboarding in their 60s and 70s. There are people that are climbing mountains in their 80s and 90s. Like, you don't have to get old the way that people get old. And the main way to not get old the way that people get old is by just not allowing yourself to get out of shape, or getting back into shape and then not allowing yourself to get out of shape if you're like me. But yeah, so realistically, there's probably some aging involved. Your hair goes white, your skin might get a little wrinkly, you get spots and whatnot, and maybe whatever. But a lot of what people attribute to getting old is not really getting old, it's really getting out of shape. It's like, oh, I'm old and so now everything hurts. Yeah, but you also eat like shit, and you have for the last 10 years, and you don't work out. So maybe everything hurts because you're out of shape, man. And I'm not certainly, like, I'm not in the best shape even of my own friend group. But I recognize this. So I don't know if there's been any point to any of this. I'm pulling up at work. I guess the point of it is sort of just to give you a synapse of what happens when you get off caffeine. And so, yes, it is 31 days into getting off caffeine, but I feel great now. I feel absolutely as much energy as I felt when I was drinking energy drinks, because they're not energy drinks. That is a misnomer. They are stimulant drinks. And if you want to come off of stimulants and stop being addicted to the Colombian bean, then what you can do is you come off the stimulants for 3 days or so. You will have potentially, depending on how addicted you are exactly, for 3 days or so, you may have headaches. Your energy will be low. For the worst of it is the first week, as far as the energy is concerned. But if you, and you have to replace the caffeine with which was automatically stimulating you, with a manual routine of stimulation. You got to get up, you got to move your body. You can do vocal exercises, you can whatever it is that you just like realize that the caffeine has been stimulating you. Now you have to stimulate yourself. Singing and exercise. These are the two best ways to stimulate yourself in the morning. Your natural like brain chemicals are going to do it a little bit just to wake you up, especially if you wake up naturally without an alarm. But in the modern world, who can do that? Not everybody. So if you're waking up with an alarm, you know, you're going to need to stimulate yourself. You're waking up without an alarm, that initial stimulation is only going to get you out of bed and give you about 20 minutes. And then if you're not engaged in something, then your brain's going to stop stimulating you. So you have to do stuff. So if you want to get off caffeine, you're going to have to do stuff. And it used to be the caffeine that made you feel like doing stuff. So until you readjust to not having stimulants in your system, you've got to do stuff even though you don't feel like it. And it sucks, but to me, it's totally worth it. Yeah. So I'm at work. It's 6:52. It's Monday, the 19th. This is me on day 31 of no caffeine. It's a beautiful fucking day to be alive. Kon omne, kono yoko. May your heart be happy. May your mind be clear. May you find satisfaction in all your endeavors. And may you find ultimate satisfaction.